Do you have something inspiring to say? Have you always known that your voice can contribute to the world? Is now the time? Yes, now is the time. The world is waiting for you. Welcome to the Inspired Choices Network Open Mic Spotlight Show. Today, we have an inspiring guest who is ready to share their voice with the world. Now, onto the show.
Woohoo! Here we are. Welcome to the Open Mic Spotlight Show. I am your host today, Christine McIver. I am thrilled, excited, over the moon, rocking it to interview this amazing person. She is someone who is definitely creating more in the world. She is someone who has ideas all the time. I love her energy. She's a very, very dear friend of mine. I feel incredibly blessed to have her in my life, in my business, as also as a host here on the Inspired Choices Network. And I am probably the most excited person to learn something new about her today, because every single person that I've been interviewing, whether I know them well or not, I always learn something more. So I'm excited to introduce this amazing woman, Milica Jelenic, to the world under the Open Mic Spotlight Show. Welcome, Milica.
Hello, darling. I like how my name had a French twist to it there. That was nice.
There's something about your name in my mouth that likes to do a new dance. So I don't know what that is, but I play with it.
It's like a little different every time. It's nice.
You know, we like to change things up here with Christine and when she pronounces your name. So I'm going to give everyone your official bio for those of you who know very little or nothing about this wonderful woman. She is the host of The Pleasure Zone, which is a radio show here on the Inspired Choices Network, every Monday evening at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Milica has a BA and works in the alternative medicine field. She is also a Mitzvah Technique Teacher, Access Bars Facilitator, Body Process Facilitator, Right Body for You Taster Facilitator, radio show host, and has facilitated greater ease and health in bodies for over 15 years. P.S. She's magic. I'm just telling you. Milica is an advocate for possibilities. In her private practice, she invites clients to receive who they truly be and to continue to choose more for themselves. Milica knows that there is something greater for all of us on this planet and plays with bodies to awaken greater possibilities to show up. Milica's abilities as an intuitive led to a session that is personalized for the client, lends to the session that is personalized for the client. Milica's keen ability to sense where change is possible and to question what is stuck in the target area creates a very dynamic session that promotes choice, possibility, and change. Milica has impacted thousands of individuals both in Canada and abroad with her humor, kindness, gentleness, potency, and intensity. Milica's approach is playful, fun, and direct. She is willing to be whatever energy and space is required for the change you desire. Milica offers sessions which involve shifting energy through energy work, body manipulation, and verbal processes. And you can connect with Milica on her website at, Milica, what is your website?
That would be www.milicajelienic.com.
Wow,
I know the www threw you off because
I'm like, what? Why are you saying that?
Because I like to, because you know, and some of them start with http:// no other www. So I'm letting you know it's officially www.
Well, thank God for your officially. So, Milica, you know, I absolutely love playing with you, and I do not want to joke about the impact that you are in the world. I really do want people to get the contribution you are to bodies, and you know, when we're putting out whatever we put out in the world, people start to say, oh, this person does this or this person does that. And I think one of the greatest things that people don't know a ton about you is the absolute amazing gentleness coupled with potency you are with bodies. Like, it is, you touch my body, whether it's just on, you know, putting your hand on my wrist, or your hand on my back or running my bars or whatever it is, my whole body just goes, oh. Like you can literally hear my body do that. It's like, wow, she really likes her.
Yeah, and I like bodies.
You do like bodies. It's so phenomenal. So, Milica, tell all of our listeners, where did you grow up? Where were you raised? What did that look like in your life?
Cool. I grew up in Toronto for the most part. I was actually born there. Yeah, I was born in Toronto, right downtown at the Mount Sinai Hospital. Actually, I had the funny part about my birth is my mom kept on saying that I was due in January, but I was born on March 2nd. So my mom insists that I was like 5 or 6 weeks late. She claims that because I was such a large baby. I was like 10.5 pounds. So it was quite funny that she like always insists on telling people that, like, yeah, but you were 2 months late. That's impossible, mother, unless I'm an elephant. So that always cracks me up when I think about where was I born? Well, I have a story pre that because so yeah, I was born in Toronto. And when I was about 4 years old, my mom actually grabbed us, put us in a car, packed up the entire house in 3 hours, and took off. We were semi-abducted by my mom, and that is when my parents got separated, and I moved to the Niagara area.
Okay, so you're in the Niagara area, and so you grew up there.
Years. Yeah.
Okay.
For about 2 years, I was living there with my grandmother. We weren't totally in hiding from my dad. We were just my mom just needed somewhere to go to. So we were there, and then we went back to Toronto. So most of my life I've lived in Toronto, but I did go to university in Windsor, Ontario, and now I live in the opposite direction. I live in El Dorado. So I've moved a lot in my life. One day I counted, it was like over 23 times I've moved in my life.
I still have you beat, so we'll have to compare notes someday. So how long? So El Dorado is where, as far as in Ontario? How would people understand where that is?
Yeah, so for outsiders, for people who are aware of major cities in Canada, I'm like smack dab in the middle between Toronto and Ottawa. Okay. Literally smack dab in the middle. So yeah.
Cool. Awesome. Yeah. So you when did you first get introduced to the energy work and the intuitive work? So you did intuitive work first, did you not, before you started working with bodies?
I did. So when I was about 11, I was kind of young. And I was about 11, I was really interested in all things metaphysical, and I would search the library. Like, I really didn't like reading, but when I did find a book that I liked reading, it always had a metaphysical twist to it. Like people who were doing like channeling or prolonging their life with like elixirs. Like, I liked witchy things, and that's what kind of intrigued me. And my mom started noticing that I was interested in this stuff and introduced me to a friend of hers who was a psychic, who insisted that I was going to be a psychic, and I kept on insisting I was going to be a vet. So,
well, that's interesting. So yes. You wanted to be a vet as you were growing up. I didn't know that. So see, I have learned something already. So yeah. You wanted to be a vet when you were growing up, and
I did.
So would you say that your mom pushed you into the intuitive work?
No, not so much. My mom was never a pusher that way at all. She would notice what I was like dabbling in, and always had this amazing capacity to find teachers for me. So like with the psychic lady, she brought me there when I was fairly young, but the lady, she would let me watch and she would let me play with stuff, but she wouldn't do readings for me until I was a little older. I think her rule was I had to be 14. So I think it was like the day I turned 14, I went for a reading. But I'd been secretly going for readings. I would take whenever we would have a day off school, I'd take all my spare little cash and I'd walk down the street to the local psychic and get a card reading or get a crystal ball reading. I'd take my money, my whole $5, and get a reading done by anybody. Like, I was so intrigued by all of that. And it was so ironic that I just wanted them to say, yes, you will marry, Davy Simchuk, because I was in love with him. And I just wanted to hear that I was going to marry Davy Simchuk and I was going to be a vet.
Davy, if you're listening, give us a call. We would love to hear. Have you ever spoken to Davy about this?
No, I haven't.
Oh my gosh. Wouldn't it be awesome if Davy was listening right now?
It really would be cool. I probably spent a good, between grade 7 and 8, probably a good $30 or $40 going to the psychic to find out if I would marry him or not. So, yes, it would be good to hear from you, Davy, because I didn't marry you, damn it.
Do you think Davy could chip in some money for all of that?
That'd be really great, because with inflation and everything, I'm looking at a couple hundred, I think. I don't know. And oh my God, is he still out there? No, I don't have that anymore, because I couldn't hardly remember his last name, but I had a lot of crushes.
That's very, very fun.
Yeah, he was hardcore. I mean, he could roller skate. He had skateboards and stuff, and he was skilled, and he had he was a full-on skater, sexy little thing. I just adored him. So, yeah.
Did Davy know this?
I don't think Davy did, because everybody thought I had a crush on. Well, I had 6 crushes going at any given time, because I didn't want to Well, I just did, because I just was in love with half the boys in school. But Davy was secretly my favorite, so he didn't know. I don't think he ever knew.
That really doesn't surprise me that you had a crush on many people. I think that's translated over into your adult life, because you really do love a lot of people. One of the capacities that I know that you have is to see the kindness and the sweetness and the gentleness in everyone. And it's like you're a raving fan of all the people that you meet. Truthfully, I've watched you, and the gentleness that you be with people is phenomenal. And not that you couldn't, take somebody out if they tried to attack somebody you loved, but you truly, you truly do have this love and kindness towards all beings, which is rare. And I'm asking for more of that to show up in the world, because that would be an amazing, amazing thing to have. Milica, what's your favorite memory as a child?
That's neat. I have so many, but I have to say one of my very favorite memories was walking into Disney World at the age of 6. I think I was about 6 or just turning 7, and I was wearing spectacular high heels. That was great. That was a great day. So I had these beautiful white high heels on, and they so didn't function for, going to Disney World, but I didn't care because I felt so awesome in them. It's so me. It's just so the epitome of me that it's I'm at this spectacular place, and I'm oh, this is so awesome. And yet I could barely walk around because I had to be dressed in my finest. So it's so funny.
Oh, wow. And if anybody knows Milica and knows her beautiful daughter, the apple does not fall anywhere far from that tree. That's absolutely for sure. Okay, we are already up to our first break. How did that happen? When we get back, I have some very specific questions for our guests today, and we're going to dive in to learn more about Milica Jelenic. When we get back, you're listening to the Open Mic Spotlight Show here on the Inspired Choices Network station. We'll be right back.
Do you have something inspiring to say? Would you like a taste of being one of our inspired hosts? Get on the air on the Inspired Choices Network Open Mic Spotlight Show. The Open Mic Spotlight Show is your time to shine and inspire our global audience. Shows air at 9 a.m. on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday each week. Claim your spot today. Simply contact our network owner at info@inspiredchoicesnetwork.com. Forget the days of 5 minutes of fame. Now you can have 55 minutes of fame.
Many of us have created a lot of limitations around sex and what we are willing to choose. What else is possible beyond what we have already seen, heard, or thought of? What if now is the time for a totally different sexual revolution, taking the taboo out of all aspects of sex, sexuality, and copulation by tuning in to the Pleasure Zone radio show with body whisperer Milica Jelenic. You'll receive tools, inspiration, and a foundation to allow yourself to receive more in your sex life and quite possibly other areas of your life as well. Listen for the Pleasure Zone with Milica every Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 p.m. Central Time, 6 p.m. Mountain Time, and 5 p.m. Pacific Time on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
You are listening to the Open Mic Spotlight Show here on Inspired Choices Network. To call in and ask questions, call 815-880-8255 in the U.S., 613-800-8736 in Canada, or Skype us at Inspired Choices Network. Now back to the show.
Welcome back, everyone. You are listening to Christine McIver on the Open Mic Spotlight Show, and today my guest is Milica Jelenic. Milica is an amazing person that has been creating greater in the world for, I'm going to say, 30-plus years, mainly in Ontario, but she connects with people all over the world. Milica, one of the things that you do brilliantly is really creating connections with individuals. I've watched you do that in person, and I've watched you do that with people all over the world through social media, which is phenomenal. You have such an ease with communication. Do you think that that's where your communication with bodies kind of started, with that ease as well?
I actually didn't always have ease with connecting with people. That, for me, was actually really difficult. It's something that I chose to step into. It was actually one of the toughest things for me in school, was to relate to people. I desperately desired to connect with people. I desperately desired to have friends, and I always felt like an outsider. And I was always trying to create groups of people. So I'd invite everybody to everything, and then nobody would show up, and I'd be like, oh, but I don't understand it. So I never really felt that I had total ease with it until I started to use the tools of access, and that actually created a lot more for me, because it wasn't always ease for me actually at all. And connecting with bodies wasn't always something that I knew was ease for me. I really didn't like people.
Oh my gosh, now we're getting to the good stuff. To the good stuff. Tell us more.
Yeah, I think I was the kid who, because I felt so alone most of the time, I would find that I would have if somebody would be my friend, I was like, okay, I'll have you as a friend. I wasn't really in a place where I would go, I'd like to have you as a friend, and that person would say, yes, I'd like to have you as a friend back. That's only really just recently started for me. I would just, take, okay, anybody who was willing to talk to me, I'd be your friend, because I was so freaking lonely. And so I didn't like people because I felt so rejected all the time, massively rejected. It really wasn't fun for me.
So where did that start? It feels like chicken and egg to me. So was it that people didn't like you right away, or was it that you were afraid of people or didn't like people? What did you notice first as a child? Or now looking back, what do you know?
Yeah, so looking back, what I'm aware of now is that I was really aware of them, and I would start to mimic their faces and stuff to them. Christine knows, I have a lot of facial expressions, and they're not, I can't hide them and stop them. They just happen. And I find a lot of the times I'm actually mimicking people's emotions back to them with my face. And so I would get a lot of, people going, why are you looking at me like that? And I was like, I can't even stop it or help it. It's what my face does. So I was doing a lot of like cute things like that, which, mimicking people's judgments of themselves, mirroring that kind of stuff back to them. And then of course I was like, what's wrong with me? I don't know why I'm doing this. I can't help it. And I would feel really bad. So I'd rather just hide than have people look at my face, right? It's like, oh great, I'm going to mimic you and then you're going to judge me for mimicking you. And it's like so backwards. But I know I did it even as like a really little kid, because my whole family loves bringing out pictures of me and going, oh, look, you were always grumpy. I'm like, wow, I don't remember being grumpy. I remember being like watchful, aware. I remember being aware of people, and I just really had no desire to be fake in any way. Like I didn't smile if I wasn't really happy. And it wasn't that I was sad. It wasn't that I was like feeling exuberant. Like people around me I had a depressed dad. I had a mom at the time probably going through depression. Actually, my dad was labeled bipolar at some point. So I had a lot of like stuff around me that just would reflect in my face as I didn't have a lot of smiles happening.
Right.
But I didn't feel necessarily miserable. I just didn't feel like inspired to smile. So yeah.
you were just super, super aware of where everybody else was operating from.
Yeah, and not having words for it. Yeah.
Right. And your face was mimicking it. It's like it kind of, I just got a flash of a baby, when we're teaching a baby different things and they're laughing and playing and stuff, babies will actually begin to mimic our faces. Right? And
mimic
so
our
that's
smiles and yeah.
Yeah,
sure.
And mimic our laughs and all the rest of it. And you were doing that based on your awareness with what was going on around you, with the people around you.
Yeah.
Interesting. And then that spilled over into kids seeing this and questioning what the heck you were doing, which then created this lack of self-confidence in you.
Yeah, it was pretty wild. It really turned into a tumbleweed effect. Like, so looking at that, right, like there's so many places in our lives that we actually have these capacities, right? Like that it was a capacity that I could mimic people quite easily. To the point my mom was aware that I could mimic and I could do faces and I could do accents like super fast. Like if I heard a person do an accent, I could do their accent right away. And she was aware of it. So she actually, and I was telling you about this the other day, Christine, she actually took me for an audition to be on in an ad, right? Just because she was aware that I had these capacities. But we didn't take it much further after that. I just judged the crap out of myself for not getting the first job that I tried out, so I didn't try again.
As one would, we just judge the hell out of ourselves and we go from there. Cool. Yeah, that's not always the best choice, but we do that. So, oh wow, isn't that interesting, right? Cute,
really
cute
right?
beings. Well, I just think that that's a really fascinating piece that I've never heard you speak to before. And if people are listening and they have young children, maybe some of that's going on for their children. A couple of kids, young children I can think of, that just may be something I'll contribute to their parents, because that's pretty cool that's what was going on for you and how it started to, I'm going to say, kind of, kick you in the butt with it and how that created some angst. So in your life. So Milica, so you're going along. When did that start to change for you? Like how old were you when that self-confidence started to shift and you started to, start connecting with people?
It's not that I had a lot of self-confidence, but part of it was that in the community that I grew up in, Serbian community, for the most part, most kids ended up going to dance lessons, and in that we also learned poetry. So I started to be in front of crowds, and that's when it started to. I realized that I needed to connect, and I was aware too. Like looking back now, I'm aware that my dad was aware that I wasn't connecting with audiences. I'd be in front of everybody, but I wouldn't connect with anybody. I would just retract. So my dad would be in the audience making faces at me and getting me to smile, getting me to connect at least with him. and then I as I started to be willing to connect with more than one person, I found that I wouldn't screw up so much. I didn't know what I was doing. I just realized that I needed to look at more than my dad in the audience, right? But I was connecting with people. And then I could actually have more ease in my body. I could actually relax. And then, I wouldn't mess up the steps or whatever. Because, it's a funny thing dancing in front of a crowd that doesn't know your steps. And then you're like picking up that they don't know what you're doing and you don't know what you're doing. And then you're like, what? So, yeah. For dancers out there, if you do find you're messing up, I just wonder if you're really tapping into the fact that the crowd doesn't actually know what you're doing either.
Yeah, that's really quite interesting. So everybody's aware of each other, and then it's creating this craziness.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah, so that did, though, start to shift stuff. Like being in front of people really, it was like forcing me to get over my fears of shyness, of hiding. And I did a lot of poetry on stage, even like starting at the age of 4. So I'd be up there doing like 4 or 5 poems in front of a crowd of like 200 or 300. So I was like really out there.
Wow, girl, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to hear one of those poems. You got any of those handy, Milica?
They're all in Serbian, but I can do one for you. Yeah.
That would be awesome. Okay, before we get to the poem, tell me, Milica, what is inspiration to you?
Oh, that was great. I was actually speaking with Carol Reinley the other day about that. And for me, inspiration is literally when I wake up in the morning and I choose, like I'm choosing to be here. This is inspiration for me. It's really that simple. It's like I chose to wake up. Now what? So that for me is like choosing to be alive is inspiration. Sometimes people are looking for the big thing that, knocks their socks off or, is this thing that's going to maybe make them $1 million. For me, it's like inspiration is choosing to wake up, open my eyes, and see the world. So
I love that.
Really, really simple for me. Yeah.
That's fabulous. So what inspires you about you?
My tenacity. Like I definitely have I'm going for it, even if it kills me kind of attitude. Less of the kill me part than I had before.
Please.
Yeah. So I do have a tenacity, and that's something that I know everybody who knows me in my family, they're like, have known that about me since I was little. If I desired something, I would bulldoze people to get it. So there was no stopping in that way. But when I would be rejected by other people, I would be so enormously crushed. Like all that force going out, right? That kind of intense way of being. And then somebody goes, no. For me, it was like a wall that I would hit, and it would like literally knock me down. So when people would receive it, though, I was like a freaking bull, like just like a wild bull just going for it. So,
wow.
Yeah, tenacity, for sure.
Tenacity. I like that. I like that about you. I see you saying yes, 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 and choosing forward all the time. But I didn't know that part about the bull part. That's good to know. So Milica and I met in Vancouver, physically in this lifetime, in Vancouver. What year was that, Milica? 2014?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Yeah, 2014. So we've only known each other a few short years, and I have the honor and the privilege to have her be a part of my business as well as be on the Inspired Choices Network as a host. And working with Milica is a huge pleasure, and there's so much ease. And yet I know that you have these things in your heart, in your desires, that probably most people don't know about. I know there are things I don't know. So when we get back from break, I'm going to ask you some questions that are popping around that, and see what else we can dive into and see what else Milica is going to share with all of us. So stay tuned, everyone. You're listening to the Open Mic Spotlight Show with my guest, Milica Jelenic, today on Inspired Choices Network, and we'll be right back.
Do you have something inspiring to say? Would you like a taste of being one of our inspired hosts? Get on the air on the Inspired Choices Network Open Mic Spotlight Show. The Open Mic Spotlight Show is your time to shine and inspire our global audience. Shows air at 9 a.m. on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday each week. Claim your spot today. Simply contact our network owner at info@inspiredchoicesnetwork.com. Forget the days of 5 minutes of fame. Now you can have 55 minutes of fame.
Many of us have created a lot of limitations around sex and what we are willing to choose. What else is possible beyond what we have already seen, heard, or thought of? What if now is the time for a totally different sexual revolution? Taking the taboo out of all aspects of sex, sexuality, and copulation by tuning in to the Pleasure Zone radio show with body whisperer Milica Jelenic. You'll receive tools, inspiration, and a foundation to allow yourself to receive more in your sex life and quite possibly other areas of your life as well. Listen for the Pleasure Zone with Milica every Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 p.m. Central Time, 6 p.m. Mountain Time, and 5 p.m. Pacific Time on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
You are listening to the Open Mic Spotlight Show here on Inspired Choices Network. To call in and ask questions, call 815-880-8255 in the U.S., 613-800-8736 in Canada, or Skype us at Inspired Choices Network. Now back to the show.
Welcome back, everyone. We are speaking with Milica Jelenic today. Before we dive back into some questions I have for you, Milica, tell everyone listening what you are creating in the world and how they can connect with you and what you offer to others.
Oh, I'm creating a lot of crazy fun things in the world. For the most part, I regularly create Access Bars classes, so that's something that you can find on the Access Consciousness website when you look me up, or you can find it on my website as well. I am creating, in the future, I've got a little thing I'm creating. A little could be big, who knows? It's going to be called I have a name for it too. Parenting the Next Generation. So that's going to be like a telesummit coming probably in March-ish. And for those of you who have quirky senses of humor and you like puppets, like I know some people are afraid of puppets, but if you like puppets, you can check out my favorite puppet on the planet next to Miss Piggy is my very own Kiki, and she has a page on Facebook called Kiki Svesnost, which Svesnost in Serbian means consciousness. And so Kiki for Consciousness on Facebook, and also you can find those on YouTube under my name as well. And so that's a lot of fun for me. And I know there's other things I'm creating. There's just so many things that I sometimes forget what I'm creating, along with the Pleasure Zone and who knows and what else is possible.
So tell us about this parenting seminar. No, telesummit. Sorry.
Telesummit, right. Yeah, so I was getting one day that a lot of people, even people I know who are in Access Consciousness, we all have amazing different tools for parenting, and I thought it would be really fun to have different looks at coming from a parenting standpoint, single parenting with having been a teen parent. Like, there's so many different aspects. I'm really interested in talking to people about their experience and what they've used as tools for surviving their children.
Oh, I like that. Just what you said there, surviving your children. I think I could probably have a little bit of input on that one.
Yes, you could.
I'm looking forward to that. One of the things when I coach with people, a lot of people that will come to me just for doing individual private coaching, they're often having challenges or struggling in one of three areas: relationships, parenting, or money. And I say to people, you know what? give yourself a break, because the 3 things we don't learn about in school is how to be in a relationship, how to be a parent, and how to deal with money. And it's like, what would it take if we actually had more education, more information, more choice available to learn about that? So I'm looking forward to this summit big time. So, and again, Milica's website is milicajelenic.com. You can definitely find it in the post of this radio show. And as Milica said, you can find her Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. She's everywhere. She's just everywhere. And, of course, on the Inspired Choices Network. So, Milica, tell me, what is important to you in the world?
I'd say that's an interesting question because it's changed a lot over time. At one point, what was important to me was surviving. And now what's important to me is really like one of the most important things is when I get to see sparkle in people's eyes. I love when I see that, and like people literally get a sparkle. And I love that. For me is important to find that sparkle, to see it in other people, and to like tease it out of them. That's one of the most important things for me, is to tease that sparkle into existence.
So how do you tease a sparkle out?
Well, let me tell you. So I find it's different for everybody, but I think like some people don't have, like, some people just don't laugh a lot. And so even in my bodywork sessions, I found I'll use one woman that I worked with before Christmas as an example. She'd been kind of bedridden for a while. But I find that I can, generally speaking, not offend people and bring up something that'll make them laugh. They can laugh at themselves, and then the sparkle comes back. And this one woman in particular, after I worked with her, I got an email back from her daughter saying, "Thank you, sparkle has come back in my mom's eye." I was like, "Thanks, that's exactly what I was hoping for."
Wow.
And what else is possible? And I was just teasing her about, like, she was having lack of mobility in her hips. I'm like, what if you started grinding a little bit, get down and get dirty? Maybe that'll get your hips moving again. And she just laughed and laughed. I was like, right? Like, that's what your body would really like to do. So,
well, and it doesn't have to necessarily be with putting another body part together with somebody else. Moving those hips and changing things up, maybe that will put the sparkle back in. That is fabulous. What is it for you when you see the sparkle in what do you know when you see that sparkle come out? Or what drives that desire? Besides it's enjoyable to see somebody else sparkle, what drives that for you?
Oh, so when somebody else is sparkling, for me, it's like, oh, cool, now we can connect. Now you're awake and you're alive and we can be friends. And what can we create now? Like, that's what drives it for me. It's like when I see that sparkle, I'm like, cool, you're here, you're awake. Now what can we create? Like, that is always... I always like to include myself in it because, all those years of exclusion, I'm like, hey, how can I be part of this? Even like when I hired myself in your business, I include myself with other people.
I forgot that. Oh my God. Yes, tell everyone how you did that.
Yeah, Christine was saying one day, she was like, oh, I'm really tired or something. You were having like a lot of stressors going on. I said, okay, I'm hiring myself to do your social media. And you were like, what? Okay. So.
Yeah, I'm like, really? Because, I'm one of these eternal, I have to do it all, talk about a bull in a china shop, and that was a big challenge for me. And when people first started to want to work for me, because I would go into the, oh, what's this going to cost me and all of that. And I can honestly say when you said that to me, that did not occur in my world. I was kind of in a beyond initially because I was like, really? She wants to do this? And so that's where I was. And there was just no question about the money never even popped into my head. Which has been, you definitely got me over a big area of receiving, of people wanting to contribute to me in my world and my business. And it has created so much ease for me. And a lot more play. It's so much more fun to create with other people. So I get when you say what that sparkle does for you. It's like, yeah, please. So, Milica, tell me, you love to see the sparkle in people. What do you know changes for them when the sparkle starts?
So sometimes the sparkle will be like where they're, choosing more into life. But I've also seen the sparkle in people. Like I facilitated a woman a while back, a year or two ago, who had cancer in her body, and when I was asking her some questions, she truly, truly desired to leave her body. And even in that choosing of leaving her body, she had when I asked her one question and she said, I really would like to be with my husband and my mom and they've left their bodies. And she just lit up. She just was so at ease and at peace with her choice. So I know that that's what it is for people, is that sparkle comes in, even if you're not choosing light, like you're not choosing embodiment, the sparkle comes in because you've hit the jackpot on what you desire.
Ah, I like that. Wow, you've never said it that way before that I've heard.
No, I haven't. So thank you.
You've hit thank you. You've hit the jackpot on what you desire. Wow. How amazing is that? How many more people, Milica, are looking for you to tickle the sparkle out of them so they can hit the jackpot on what they desire?
Yeah, that should be my new title, right?
I think it is. And Milica, and our amazing producer, Keisha Clark, just got that in the chat room for us, so we're going to be holding on to that one. Absolutely. Wow, okay, and I've just got this huge energy of possibilities just popped up in my world. I wonder how many people are going to be looking.
It's very exciting. My body feels sparkle.
My gosh.
I love it.
And that's so funny because just a couple of weeks ago, you and your beautiful daughter created some different types of sparkle dust, didn't you?
We really did. We created all kinds of fairy dust, including one that is for magical toots. That when you sprinkle it on your body, that your toots actually become so musical that it's like a symphony to people's ears, and they both smile and giggle at the same time. Not at you, but at the music that your farts are.
Awesome. Oh my gosh, you're amazing. The play that you have in the world, do you find that a lot of people actually judge you as if you're not taking life seriously?
Yes. Usually it's like, oh, you're not being yourself. I'm like, really? This is me being me when I'm creating insane things. Like laughing at farts, that is, you're really getting me. So I find when I'm not being me, it's when I'm trying to overthink something.
Right.
But if you're getting crazy me, that's me.
Crazy me is me.
More fun. Yeah, crazy can be crazy, sexy, could be intense, but generally if I'm overthinking, then it's I'm in my brain. When I'm in my body, my whole body, and I'm expanded, that's fun. That's really fun. Right.
It's phenomenal. And when you're not in that space of play and crazy and joy and silly, is there a contraction in your world? Do you feel like you're having to push things forward?
Oh yeah. It's like in martial arts they call things with ease is like the tai chi of movement. You're moving with the energy, and when you're not, it's like having a dam that stops the energy from moving. And so I like being in the tai chi movement of my life. It's way more fun.
The tai chi movement of your life. That's pretty cool. So you're also a martial arts expert. Tell us
I'm not an expert. I can't say that technically.
Oh,
but
okay.
Yes,
okay.
I have experience.
What are you?
I have a second-degree black belt in an art called Nimpo Taijutsu. That doesn't
second-degree black
qualify me.
Well, it does in my world, so I'm saying that
Okay.
you are. Comparative to those of us who don't have even one belt, having a second black belt is pretty amazing, girl. So when did you start doing martial arts?
2004. So in 2000, I went to Europe, and my body chose to be violated. And after that, I know that sounds fucked up for those of you listening, but if you really want to talk to me about it, you can. So after that, I was in a bit of a place where I was like, never again. I was in a lot of resistance and reaction. And I started looking for what I could do energetically, what I could do physically, what was possible. And then I ended up in a martial arts class. And it was great. It actually contributed to me having my daughter, because the sensei is my daughter's sperm donor. And so I'm grateful for him for that and the martial arts instruction, which was great because it actually allowed me to save my life against him. So yay, thank you.
Nice. And it's interesting that there you go again with bodies.
Yeah.
There you go again with bodies again, something else with the bodies. So I find it very interesting how involved you are with bodies, with the joy, with seeing the sparkle in people. You are amazing on the computer as well. You have this capacity in creating on the computer that a lot of ease around it, and a lot of play around it as well. You create these beautiful graphics for the network, for all of our hosts, and they're gorgeous. They're absolutely gorgeous. So you really do have, you bring this energy of playfulness in it amazingly creates in the world, and I just absolutely love that. Milica, tell me, what is your message for 2017?
That's a great question. My message for 2017 it's kind of like this. It's like, do or die. Choose or go home. It's kind of like this
wow.
thing for me. It's like, yeah, it's pretty intense. It's like, I get that there's this massive intensity on the planet, and a lot of people are in that energy of do or die, or choose or forget it, walk away, create or die. Like Gary Douglas had a telecall a couple of years ago called Create or Die, and I feel that energy is like super present right now on the planet. So yeah, it is like that for me.
So what got you to this? What got you to this?
So my demand for actually creating more for my life and what that could possibly create for everyone else that I know, that's what got me to that. It's like I could either be really freaking small or I could change something. And I have to say, like, I've had facilitation with you, being in foundation class this weekend. I've had this like kind of energy that's come up since the foundation class. It's very much like, okay, create on, sister, or walk the hell out of this life. But it feels more like I'm choosing the create on, sister, rather than the walking away. So, and it's more fun. It doesn't have like a push behind it. So if you guys are feeling like, oh my God, that feels really like a push, it's more of like an intensity of choice and living rather than like an intensity of being knocked over or pushed into something.
So have you found that you've required this intensity to move in a new direction in your life?
I think part of the intensity is who I actually be. So yeah, like as a being, I'm not like totally submissive. Like I have an intensity about me for sure, and that's part of why I think even as a kid, people thought I looked grumpy all the time. I was really intense, like intensity of being in space and all of that. And I see that in kids, and people will judge it as, oh, you're shy or you're angry. It's like, what's they're just really intensely aware. And so I get that I'm allowing myself to be that intensity where I was maybe in the last few years I've been choosing to be more of the intensity of me rather than skirting it or trying to be soft or had this illusion of what like sexy women was, and maybe sexy woman isn't being overly soft. Maybe it's being me, right? So I'm including that now in my life more.
I like that. I really like that. It feels like when you weren't willing to have that intensity, that you were doing sexy as opposed to being. That the intensity that you can be. I've seen you be intense, and it doesn't freak me out. It doesn't have me pull away. It actually draws me in. That your demand to be present, to create something greater, it can come through you being gentle. It can come through you being in all different ways that you are. It feels to me like you've opened up your willingness to receive you totally and completely in whatever way that shows up.
Yeah, I definitely have a sense of that, and it's very exciting actually for me because the more I've been choosing to be the intensity of me, my lover husband has found me like exponentially more attractive even. I didn't even know that was possible. I thought I was the most sexy I could be to him, but actually the more I've been like intensely being me, the more he's been like, ooh, hi, what are you? I'm like, wow, who are you? And how does it get any better than this?
Wow.
It's been very fun. Yeah.
What a lucky, smart man.
And how lucky and smart am I to have invited him into my life? So.
Right? Yeah. You've got an ease. So your radio show, The Pleasure Zone, I know because I work with you and because, people have asked me questions and stuff, I know that people immediately go to, oh, it's all about sex. And,
sure they do.
Right? And if I would really love to see more people really ask, like, is that true when they look at that? And I would really love for people to come in and to participate more in your shows. The show you did last week, and I know it was a very vulnerable show for you. Honest to God, it was one of the most beautiful shows that I have ever heard you do. And you've been on the station now for 2 years, right?
Yeah, 2.5, yeah. Coming up 3 in July, yeah.
What?
Yeah,
are you sure?
3rd year anniversary, July. I'm serious. It's coming up.
I can't keep track. I'm telling you.
I know.
Really,
it's wild. It's wild to me. I had to think about that the other day when I was doing the interview with Carol Reinley, and I was like, wow, it's actually almost 3 years. Holy smokes.
Wild. We've got to have a big party soon. I'm telling you. All of the hosts get together in a physical space. Oh, my God, that would be so much fun.
Love it. Naked retreat. Woo.
So you joke a lot about sex. You don't have points of view about sex. A lot of people do, and you're an invitation to looking at it differently. And your show is far more than just talking about sex. The parallels that you make on that show to life and to where we limit ourselves in every area is phenomenal. And last week's show, as I said, last week's show was February what was the date, Milica? February the 6th.
Monday, 6th, yeah,
February the 6th. Right, February the 6th, 2017, and it was called Quickies, and it is nothing like people would imagine. I love that show. I want to listen to it again and again. It was phenomenal. What is your target with your radio show, Milica?
So my target is to reach audiences of people who maybe have a lot of judgment of their own bodies, judgment of what they're creating in the world, judgment of where they think they're less than, to reach them, to contribute to them, for them to like wake up to get that sparkle. So if my show is a way of people getting a sparkle, that's awesome. That's what I'd love to gift.
Fabulous. Well, whatever it takes, I certainly hope that people find you and tap in and play with you, because you are definitely someone who is a sparkle, a taste that's not out there that we definitely could use a lot more of. So I'm grateful that you're in my life, and I wish you an amazing week. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Tap in next show. Bye for now.
Thank you for listening to the Open Mic Spotlight Radio Show. We will be here Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 8 a.m. Central, 7 a.m. Mountain, and 6 a.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. We hope you'll join us. Until then, continue to create you with joy and inspiration.